Good afternoon, Mr. MD. We would like you to introduce yourself and tell us who you are and your role in Nawec. Also, as a good citizen, we would like to know what is it that you guys know that general public didn't know regarding the power cuts and power failures in and out in the Gambia. We have this belief that as good citizens, you people are Gambians, you have families, you have friends, you have colleagues that are all Gambians living in Gambia, so you will not definitely tamper with the electricity. So we want to know a little bit about the problems that are happening in Nawec due to the power failure.
Thank you very much. My name is Nani Juara, the Deputy Managing Director Nawec. Regarding the current power supply situation, this is mainly as a result of the maintenance works that are ongoing. We have what is called an installed capacity within the Greater Banjul area of almost about 82 megawatts. However, what is now available for our consumers is about 50% of that installed capacity.
That 82?
That 82. And the demand is already higher than what is available. And this has created that gap leading to the outcry of the energy supply that we have today in the country. The problem emanated as a result of problems we had in 2016. The engines, they were supplied to us as second-hand engines, and we have been running these engines for the past 15 plus years.
Wow.
80% of the installed capacity were second-hand engines that Nawec received, and we've been running them for the past 15 plus years. And as a result, most of them, their efficiencies have gone down. And in 2016, before the elections, two of the main engines had developed a mechanical problem. The other two engines, during the impasse, has also developed a mechanical problem, and they were due for maintenance. So we had no option but to shut them down, so that we can procure the necessary spare parts to be able to bring them back into operation. But unfortunately, even prior to the impasse, the political impasse, Nawec found it extremely difficult to source foreign exchange, that is the euro or the dollar, to be able to procure the required spare parts. And as a result, the time that it took us to be able to source the foreign exchange after the impasse and to be able to procure the spare parts, and the lead time that it took for the spare parts to be available in country, resulted to this particular situation that we are all facing, which is really very unfortunate. However, efforts are being done to make sure we recover the lost generation capacity. As I told you, what is now available is just 50% of what is installed. So obviously, half of what should have been available for our consumers is not available. And that's the reason why we are in this situation today. However, as at last weekend, one of the engines, G7 at Kotu Power Station, has already been rehabilitated. And it is currently on test run. We're hoping that by the end of the day today, it will have been available for commercial operations. And this will definitely ease up the current pressure on Nawec in terms of available capacity. But notwithstanding, other efforts are also in place. As I said, these are a number of engines that were overdue for maintenance. It was just the lack of spare parts that has really hampered the maintenance progress. But let me just make this thing very clear. As you said, we are Gambians, and we are also consumers. Personally, I have been working for this particular company for the past 23 years. And I have seen situations of this nature in the past.
Definitely.
But what made this particular situation more complicated is because the lead time that it took for us to procure the spare parts and to do the overhauls, then I think that is a real problem of the current situation. Because like, even if you have all the resources on the ground, the minimum number of weeks that you need to bring a generator back into operation will be between 4 to 6 weeks under normal circumstances. So can you imagine if you order the spare parts from abroad these heavy equipments that will have to come by sea. Coming to shipments to the Gambia, minimum is 3 weeks, depending from which part of the world that you are.
Yes.
So normally it's between 4 to 6, 7 weeks before you receive some of these spare parts. And some of these parts are not also off the shelf. It's not like you order today, the manufacturer has them available.
Yes.
Sometimes they also have to shop around to find out from other sources to make sure they get the required spares for you on time. And this has been the problem that we have encountered and has really affected the availability of electricity in this country. But the government and Nawec are working very closely to ensure that the remaining sets that are still under maintenance comes into operation very soon. The G6 at Kotu also is also on the same maintenance. This is also expected, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we'll have another additional 6 megawatts online. This will not solve the problem entirely, but it will reduce the pressure on Nawec, and it will at least reduce the load shedding that is ongoing. We know it is very, very difficult. The situation is not what we expected, but this is the nature of power supply business, generally. Especially if we are confronted with gensets that are very old, and you don't have the option, because like Gambia, looking at the size of our economy, the investment that was required for the sector was not forthcoming. All what we were doing in the past was firefighting. When we are faced with situations like this, we go in for quick fix solutions.
Right.
Quick fix solutions will solve your short-term needs. But with time, the same situation will reoccur. And this is the situation that we are in today. And as a result, the government, Nawec, have taken various steps now to have a roadmap where our short-term needs will be defined, medium-term needs will be defined, at the same time the long-term needs, so that we have a definitive solution to our problem. We are doing everything possible as a company, because the satisfaction of our consumers is our priority. We are consumers as well.
Yes, yes.
The perception that people have is when you are in our staff, you are staying at a collect place, electricity never goes off.
That's what some people say.
But we have almost about close to 1,800 staff scattered all over the country.
Right.
Are we going to give every one of those people priority just because they are in our staff?
And leave the rest.
That is not just possible. So, but the truth is, we just have to apologize to the consumers and ask for their patience. We will do everything possible to come back to normality by the end of the year. Everything is being done. We even have a new project that is being implemented right now at the Kotu Power Station. This is an 11 megawatts generation expansion project funded by Badia and OFID. Right now, as we speak, the civil works component is almost near completion, and 90% of all the equipment for the generator are on the ground. They are on site. So the moment the civil works component is complete, we'll start the installation of the generators, generator parts, and hopefully by December, this genset will also be available for commercial operations. So it's just a matter of time, but efforts are being done to ensure that power supply is stable in the shortest possible time. On a monthly basis, we'll see some difference. From now against December, we are very optimistic that the power supply situation will be stabilized in the short term. In the short term. But we also have our medium-term and long-term plans. We have a project that is about 20 megawatts that we have already signed the contract. This is going to be implemented in Brikama. But it's not going to be available anytime soon. We are optimistic that by 2018, December, that 20 megawatts will also be commissioned and will be available for commercial operations. So the process is on. And there are other plans to have an energy mix, to have solar, solar as part of the energy mix. and we have received a number of proposals. Already we have signed one, which is a 10 megawatts solar project. As we speak, we just have a little bit of a hitches in terms of land, the allocation of land for the developer to start implementation. But these are some of the plans that we have in the short term and also in the medium term. Nonetheless, in the next 2 to 3 years, I'm sure you also heard about this OMVG project. We'll be interconnecting with Senegal and also Guinea-Conakry. The power line is going to come through Guinea to Senegal and to the Gambia. This is a sub-regional project comprising the Gambia, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, and Senegal.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
sub-regional dam, or
it's a dam,
okay.
And already the contract has been signed for the construction of the lines. If this particular project is implemented, Nawec is expected to benefit at least 40 megawatts of electricity from Guinea. And this is going to make energy cost very, very reasonable in the country, cheaper than what obtains now,
right.
Which is also a major hindrance to bringing investors into this country.
Yes.
Because most people are complaining about our energy cost. So all these efforts are in place to make sure electricity is not only accessible but also affordable to our people.
Right.
So this is the objective of the government and also of Nawec, to ensure that we don't only provide access but to provide accessible and affordable energy to our people, to encourage investment into this country so that the country can also be competitive to other countries in the sub-region.
Definitely.
That's the long-term objective of this government and Nawec. So the situation is very dire, but we just ask for patience. There is going to be light at the end of the tunnel. And even in the short term, come December, the situation will be stabilized. But on a month-to-month basis, they will see some improvements in the supply. But there is no quick fix, as I said earlier. It takes time. Rehabilitating generators takes between 4 to 6 weeks, even if you have all the spare parts on the ground. Yeah. So basically, that's it.
Thank you, Manager. Well said. If I can hear you very well, we need patience. Yes. We have to be patient. Yes. Okay. These consumers, most of them are also complaining. We have a high price of electricity and no electricity. Okay. High price of water and no water. What will be your last, appeal to those people?
Let me just reassure them that energy business is an expensive business. Water supply, being an essential service as well, is also capital intensive. You need the required resources to be able to meet the demand. But as I said earlier, Nawec unfortunately did not receive the required investment in both sectors. And the country, looking at it, is highly urbanized.
It was not like what people think. Yeah, they may give you people a lot of money, or you invest a lot in generators, or you did so much for Yajam and now you're not doing anything.
Well, I think sometimes when people talk in that sense, fine, I respect their opinions.
That's right.
But the truth is, we were not working for an individual. We were working for the Gambian people. You see, what happened? There were a lot of misplaced priorities. Government policies in the past are even responsible for this current situation. I think most people remember in the past that we had an IPP, okay? But this is not an IPP that was like in an open competitive bidding. It was just directly negotiated. And our fuel supply also was directly sourced from an individual source. It was not through competitive bidding, which was also a government policy. Unlike today, where our fuel supply has been open to competition, we started gaining some amount in terms of cost. Historically, fuel cost is the biggest component, is the highest cost component of our operations. Almost about 50 to 55% of our cost is on fuel.
Wow.
Is on fuel. So Nawec has been struggling in the past, but the reason why we were able to maintain the generators at the time is simply because some of the gen sets were not due for maintenance before December. But now that they are all overdue for maintenance, and we had difficulties in sourcing foreign currency at the time because of the political impasse, then the lead time to do the orders and also do the maintenance, then we have this problem. But Gambians will be patient with us. It's not the current government's making, and it's not because the staff are not committed to doing the work. We are very much committed, and we will not falter in our responsibilities. We will do everything possible to make sure that we normalize the situation. The problem has been inherited by the current government. It's not because the people at Nawec are opposed to the current government.
Right.
That will be the last thing we would do. We don't work for individuals. We work for the Gambian people. And we are Gambians, and we want to leave a legacy in Nawec that we have done it. And this cannot be possible without the commitment. And I can reassure every Gambian that the staff that we have are all committed to the cause. So let them not have any reservation as to our patriotism, as to our commitment, to ensure that we are out of this situation. Our commitment cannot be questioned, no doubt about it. And we reassure them and apologize for the current situation. But it's just a matter of time. We will be there. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It's just a matter of time. Thank you. Just to provide you a brief update on the current water supply situation as well. For the past 3-4 days, the situation has gotten worse in some parts of the GBA, simply because we had suffered 2 major burst pipes on our transmission lines. We have 2 transmission lines. These are the outlets coming from the water treatment plant in Brikama. The 2 lines got burst. This was since Friday, and the engineers have been working on it since Friday to restore the service. However, it has taken them longer than expected, and that's why communities in Farato, Yunum, Banjulinding, and part of the Combo South, that's the Tangiers, the Sanyans, were affected, because we have 2 of the main lines that are the outlets that were affected. But however, we thank God that yesterday we were able to restore the technical fault, and this afternoon we have already started pumping, and we are very optimistic that come in the evening, the areas that were affected will now start getting normal water supply. It was as a result of a technical problem on the transmission line. Yeah, it was a burst pipe. It was a burst pipe, and I think people just need to bear with us, because if you have some of those problems and you don't fix them, they get even worse. And it happened in an area where we have 40% of our production capacity located. That's why 19 boreholes are pumping into that treatment plant. So as a result, if you shut down that particular facility, that means you are taking off almost 40% of your, then the entire population was depending on the 60%. That has created that outcry in the past 3 days or 4 days, because most places were affected. But we apologize sincerely. This was beyond us, but we have a responsibility also to fix it. Now that the situation will be addressed, we are appealing for calm, and then we'll continue to work hard in their best interest to make sure they are satisfied. We know we are also family members. Even an hour that if you don't have water supply in your house, the inconvenience that it causes.
That's what
so we put ourselves in their position. We are consumers as well. We doing everything possible to make sure that supply is restored to normalcy before the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Well, that was all what we have for you from Nawec headquarters here in Kanifing. Please, let's be patient and give them time for them to solve the problems that will solve our own stresses out of there, the angers on Nawec, etc., etc. Otumbadingol alia moy nyaming nata Nawec la headquarters la tujam ke nyininka monom problem ote millon mamillon yewo explain molel ngamra clear ta bagal patient nyimukule de miyalon ka ba Nawec blokano abalari kunkan dunu balom kabri nyatolo amanke sayin kuti sayna dunol bina gëna fintila kon bokki hariti yena ko dega fi ci headquarters Nawec wax bi leer na kan luñu wara def moy as a Gambians ñu am patient together ñu baye tension bi ñu may gaay chance pour ñu jox ñu better service in future jërëjëf